Now tell me again how it's everybody else that moves the needle. Tell me again how Paige Bueckers moves the needle. Somebody explain that to me exactly. I would love to know.
A 71% drop. Not a typo, 71%, I repeat. This year's NCAA Women's Final Four lost over 10 million viewers. That's more people than the entire population of New York City. That's the kind of crash that makes network execs lose sleep. So here's the question. Is Paige Bueckers, the face of UConn and once dubbed the future of women's hoops, a phenom from day one, winning Freshman of the Year and drawing comparisons to Diana Taurasi, feeling the heat right now? Because this drop-off wasn't just bad, it was historic, and it might tell us everything about the future of women's basketball. Today, we dive deep. What caused the crash? Was it just Caitlin Clark? And what comes next for the sport, the stars, and the fans? Let's get into this right now. UConn versus UCLA in this year's Final Four drew just 4.1 million viewers. Last year, when Caitlin Clark and Iowa faced UConn, 14.2 million tuned in. This isn't just a ratings dip, it's a collapse, one that reveals a brutal truth about women's college basketball. Without Caitlin Clark, millions of casual fans didn't bother showing up. And no, this wasn't about team matchups or quality of play. These were blue blood programs. UConn, UCLA, brands that usually draw eyes. But without Clark on the floor, the magic was gone. Clark broke Pete Maravich's all-time NCAA mark, dropping the first ever 40-point triple-double in tournament history. Every stat line felt historic, every game was a headline. But don't take it from us. Alexis Ohanian, tech entrepreneur and husband to Serena Williams, predicted this exact scenario. He said, "It's literally driven by Caitlin. I bet money on it." Well, that bet paid off in full. His take was simple. No one moves the needle like Caitlin Clark, and now the data proves it. This was no fluke. It wasn't one bad night. Both semifinal games this year saw drastic viewership declines. The common denominator? Clark was missing, and the casual audience left with her. What we're witnessing is what sports media insiders are now calling the Caitlin Clark effect, a once-in-a-generation phenomenon that brought tens of millions to the women's game and then took them with her when she left. Now let's tackle a theory that's been floating around for over a year, that Caitlin Clark's massive popularity was somehow tied to Angel Reese, that without that rivalry, and when we talk about missing viewers this year, that number matters, like really matters. That's more than the entire populations of Los Angeles and Houston combined. Think about this. If you filled every NFL stadium in America at the same time, you still wouldn't reach 10 million. That's the scale of this collapse. And yet, people still want to act surprised. They say things like the cult of Caitlin doesn't actually like women's basketball. Well, color me shocked. Because yes, they don't like basketball, they like transcendent stars. That's how sports works. Always has, always will. For millions of people, Clark was the entry point. They didn't start watching women's basketball because they fell in love with team strategy or bracketology. They watched because Clark gave them a reason to. And when she wasn't there, they didn't watch. That's not bias, that's just reality. There's a reason this all feels familiar, because we've seen it all before. Every few decades, a player comes along and redefines the entire relationship between fans and the sport. Think back now. The NBA didn't always dominate culture. In the late 70s, it was floundering, low ratings, dwindling public interest. And then along came Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, and everything changed. Their rivalry didn't just bring fans back, it created new ones. Millions who had never cared about basketball suddenly became obsessed. And just when you thought the ceiling had been reached, Michael Jordan entered the picture. With Jordan, the NBA became entertainment, not just sport. His gravity pulled in fans from fashion, music, and global culture. Jordan didn't just play the game, he expanded its universe. That's exactly what we're witnessing here with Caitlin Clark. She isn't just a great player, she's a cultural lightning rod, an it factor magnet pulling in people who never even watched women's basketball before and suddenly need to know what she'll do next. Her game is made for highlight reels. Logo threes that break defenses and bend reality just like Steph Curry. No-look passes that thread through double coverage, channeling Magic Johnson. Big game flair that draws headlines, think Jordan. When Clark plays, basketball stops being niche, it becomes must-see TV, and the viewership spike proves it. She alone brought in millions of casual viewers who didn't care about rankings, records, or rivalries. They care about magic, and Caitlin Clark is the magic. And here's the key. This didn't happen with every star. There were other great NBA players in the 80s, but they didn't have the spark, the gravity, the generational energy. Magic had it, Bird had it, and Jordan elevated it. And now in the women's game, Clark has it. Her logo 3 to beat Michigan State from half court, buzzer, game winner. Her follow-away 3 to beat Indiana, straight out of a movie. Her 41-point performance against undefeated South Carolina, that wasn't just a win, it was a dethroning. Her record-breaking triple-doubles, her 49-point night to break the NCAA scoring record, every game felt like history in real time. Even her teammates described it as breathing rare air. She didn't just elevate Iowa, she transformed the expectations of everyone around her. As one teammate put it, Caitlin's best requires our best. That's how legends move. No disrespect to the others, but this is something different. Let's talk about Paige Bueckers. A phenomenal player, a true floor general, smart, poised, efficient. But injuries stalled the rise, and now in her comeback season, she's facing a reality check. The Caitlin Clark effect is real, and it's rewriting the standard for a must-watch. Paige never had a full run like Clark's. Injuries robbed her of crucial seasons, but in this moment, the spotlight doesn't wait, and the data tells us it's Clark who brought the nation with her. And this isn't about talent or skill set. It's about aura, the ability to pull people in who otherwise wouldn't care. One sports insider put it bluntly. The Paige Bueckers versus Caitlin Clark needle movement is what insiders call a swift death. Translation: people tuned in for Clark, not for Bueckers. Not in the same way, not even close. This isn't a knock on Paige though. It's a reality check on the business of sports. Without casual fans, a sport doesn't grow. It stalls, it stagnates, it shrinks. The hardcore fans will always be there. They'll watch tape, study matchups, appreciate the beauty of a mid-range pull-up, but they don't drive ratings. Casual fans, the ones who come up for the show, they need a reason to show up. And in this era, Clark was the reason. We're not saying that Bueckers can evolve into that kind of draw, but right now, she's a star, not a supernova, and that's the gap, that's the truth. Because everyone can't be Caitlin Clark. That kind of electricity, you just don't teach it, you don't train it. You either have it or you don't. Here's the part that gets overlooked in all this hand-wringing over ratings drops. Even with a decline from last year, this year's Final Four still pulled numbers that would have been unthinkable just a few seasons ago. That's the legacy of Caitlin Clark. We now live in two eras of women's basketball, BC before Caitlin and AC after Caitlin. And the AC era, still stronger than anything that came before her. Before Clark, women's college basketball fought for airtime, struggled to trend on social media, often drew single-digit ratings on ESPN2 buried in the schedule. And now, even without her in the tournament, the sport is a headline, a conversation, a cultural event. That's not regression, that's evolution. One sports bar owner in Chicago said it best. Last year, during the LSU-Iowa championship, he had to turn customers away. He had never seen demand like that for a women's game before. Curious about who's next. Viewership dropped, yes, but engagement, awareness, and cultural relevance sky high compared to the BC era. Merchandise sales exploded, social media clips went viral, players like Angel Reese, Juju Watkins, and Hannah Hidalgo became storylines. The door at Clark opened, other stars are walking through it. So while the percentage drop-off is sharp, the absolute value of what remains is historic. Women's college basketball used to be invisible to casual fans. Now, it's part of the national sports conversation even without its biggest star. That's not just a legacy, that's a paradigm shift. So where does women's college basketball go from here? Clark elevated the game, but to sustain this rise, it needs more transcendent stars. Magic and Bird lit the fuse, Jordan sealed the legacy. Clark started the fire, and now it's time to see who can keep it burning. Will it be Bueckers, Watkins, Hidalgo, maybe someone we haven't even seen yet? The game's momentum is real, but the question now isn't if Clark changed women's basketball, it's who carries the torch next. Let us know in the comments down below. Who's your pick for the next generational star?